And I think it's much more important to think of boomer women and boomers in general simply being middle-aged and facing their healthcare decisions, their medical decisions in that way rather than are they 60, are they 50, how old are they? The other thing is these conditions, the onset of conditions, even when they're life stage driven, are much more related to when they happen to occur than a specific year. For example, menopause can occur for women over a 10 or 15-year span. So you can't just say you're trying to target a 43-year-old or a 49-year-old or a 52-year-old. You need to try to think of that as targeting a woman who's in or exiting menopause. That's true across a range of categories, whether we're talking about diabetes or osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, or any of the number of health issues that boomers are starting to face as they age. So the big message, I think, is to think about it as life stage and condition-driven. Boomers are online, of course, but there remains a lot of unmet needs for them in the healthcare space. They are all researching health online, and I talked to someone at WebMD this week who explained that their awareness of how consumers of all ages, including boomers, are accessing health information online is growing even more complex, because this is not just the one stop of looking for information before you've gone to see your doctor. Women especially are now researching, on average, are researching a health topic both before and after seeing their doctor, and both before and after filling a prescription that the doctor's prescribed for them. So this is an ongoing process that, again, you've got to find the women, boomer women, where they are, and you're going to have to, sorry, I just got distracted by a question that I'm happy to answer. Someone asked why Vibrant Nation has a male representative giving their presentation. I think that's a great question that I should have answered up front because it usually comes up. I started another marketing company about 10 or 12 years ago that was focused on developing consumer products for major brands. And I got fascinated one day in a meeting with a national brand manager who explained to me that they were not allowed to spend a single dollar on some of their most profitable and loyal consumers. When I asked who those were, she told me it was women over 45. And I got increasingly interested in the fact that national brands, by their own admission, were completely ignoring their most profitable and loyal consumers. I started doing research and listening to women in this life stage and heard from them that they were interested in a website where they could connect in the way they do offline, connect and support each other around the issues unique to the life stage. That said, Vibrant Nation is built as a community of women only. I don't participate in the forums on our site, and fortunately I'm the only male employee of the company. So I hope that answers that question. I think I also like to think that one of the signs of success in any space is when an underrepresented or underrecognized market actually starts to be recognized by people outside of it. So I hope that my step as a male marketer, valuing and speaking about and researching this invaluable demographic, will help communicate some of that to other marketers who may not themselves be boomer women. But let me just keep talking about healthcare. I talked about the fact that women, vibrant women and their doctors are not connecting on these topics very well. So online and digital media have a really important role. That said, there's still a lot of room for improvement. Women have told us that although all of them are searching health topics online, fully 1 out of 10 actually have not yet found a single reliable source that they can trust. And 23% of them say, and only 23% of them trust blogs. So there is an enormous amount of health content online that is actually not helping the issue and not helping boomer women make decisions. The more we understand about the role of boomer women in healthcare, it's not just their own healthcare they're overseeing. They're overseeing the healthcare of their spouses and partners, their parents, their children, and in many cases their grandchildren also. So it's really important to reach this woman because she may be purchasing health insurance for her 27-year-old child. She's certainly assisting her parents in their decision about Medicare Plan B insurance, and she's researching issues relating to their health care and maybe the health care of her grandchildren as well. She really is the chief wellness officer for a very extended family. Finally, a survey we just did recently confirms the fact that health is really a life stage issue. Obviously, women struggle with weight issues in their own way, and a lot of healthcare providers are trying to help meet their needs in that area and their desire to lose weight. In the research we did recently, a survey we did on our membership, we were able to show, however, that even a condition like being overweight is a lot more life stage driven than people had previously thought. So although many of our members felt that they were overweight, almost half of them said it was a new condition that had started around the time of menopause. So it's really important. That's an insight that marketers need to understand. If half of the women in their 50s who consider themselves overweight feel that that's a recent phenomenon, you want to talk to them and offer support for them in a very different way than a woman who feels like she's been struggling with this issue since she was 20, or since she gave birth to her child, or for her entire life. Lots of opportunities in healthcare to reach boomer women better online. Rock and roll, first we want to talk about music. This was the generation of women who grew up starting to listen to music as children in the 60s, and then coming of age in a great period for rock and roll in the 1970s. They have been a tremendous source of profitability for the recording industry since they could buy their first album. They were the ones who drove profits for the record industry as they shifted their record collections into CD collections, and now they're doing the same thing, and I'm sure a lot of them are downloading Beatles tunes on iTunes today. They almost all define themselves as music fans. Again, they think of themselves much more the way young consumers do in this space as others. They listen to music on CDs, and they purchase a lot of CDs, still purchase a lot of CDs a year. I like to use the example that when you look at last year's music industry, which was a tough year for the music industry, the most profitable album of the year was driven to that position by boomer women. Susan Boyle, the phenomenon from Scotland, did not quite overtake the #1 position, but finished the year at a strong #2 position. But a far greater number of her albums were purchased in the CD format, which is far, far more profitable for the record industry than downloaded music. So she actually drove, a boomer woman drove sales to boomer women and drove more profits for the record industry and the entertainment industry than any other recording last year. That really fuels my point about boomer women and digital media. The first reason that people have to pay attention to her, and whether it's in book publishing or music or newspapers and magazines, is she is still and will remain the largest source of profitability and loyalty as a purchaser and subscriber for these industries for the next 20 years. She's keeping the book publishing industry afloat, she's keeping the newspaper industry afloat, and she's keeping the music industry maintaining its profitability for now. She is, however, also a much earlier adopter of new technology than a lot of people had previously thought. Our research has shown that almost a quarter of them already own e-readers. A similar number already own smartphones, which they're using to surf the internet, listen to music, and watch videos. So if you're in digital media, you have to be engaging with this woman in two ways. You better be rewarding her because she's probably driving profitability in any format of old media. So don't forget her there. In fact, the newspaper industry recently, from people I know there, have breathed a sigh of relief in recent years to realize that the boomers will be keeping it alive for quite a while longer. But on the other hand, don't disown her in new media. Don't think that she's only going to be a profitable relic of old media. You've got to start investing against her in new media spaces as well. Because when the average boomer woman is only 53, you need to remember that she's going to be buying media in digital formats for many more decades to come. Finally, I'm going to conclude with just a few things to remember. I hope you'll remember and think about. I have some contact information on my last slide, and I'm happy to talk to anybody with further information. We have an enormous amount of research on the boomer woman. But think about her life stage more than her age, and deliver life stage appropriate messaging. And this woman is smack in the middle of life. She's an active mom. She's an active daughter. She's married. She's an active spouse. She's not married. She's probably an active dater. She is aging but not old. Second, recognize her directly. When you deal with any kind of demographic niche that feels under-recognized, recognizing directly and authentically is the best way to gain their business. And finally, a few words not to use. I use the word boomer. We can use it in a B2B context. Never use it to her. No one ever self-identifies in a meaningful way as a boomer. Don't use the word retirement to her. It's completely irrelevant to women of this generation. It's a condition that she might use to define her parents' life, but it's not one for her. She'll be insulted either because she isn't sure that she can afford retirement, or because she'll be insulted because she wants to make sure you understand that she wants to be active for the rest of her life. Active aging, I'll pull that together with words. Sometimes people try to be nice by acknowledging the level of activity among boomer women by saying they're spry and feisty. This isn't the Golden Girls. These are women right in the middle of life. In fact, the average boomer woman defines old as 3 years past the average age of death. She considers herself a lot younger than marketers probably consider her. And so using direct language and not cute or patronizing language is the way to go. And finally, don't market to her through her loved ones. She is very focused on her own needs and has a discretionary income to spend money on herself. She's taking financial matters into her own control and is determined to be leading the life she wants to lead into the next decades. My contact information is up here. You can follow us on me on Twitter at Vibrant Boomers. Please send me an email if you're interested in getting a copy of our new book, Vibrant Nation, What Boomer Women 50 Plus Know, Think, Do, and Buy. Now I'm going to move this presentation over to David Weigelt, or I guess you, Nancy, will do that for me.
There we go.
Thank you, Stephen. Just pull mine up here. You guys let me know when you see it.
There we go.
It's there.
Looks good.
Fantastic. So, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Weigelt. I'm the Chief Strategist and one of the founding partners with Immersion Active. I'm going to take us home here with some a mix of tactical and strategic recommendations in terms of rocking boomer engagement in 2011. And the basic idea here I want to share with everybody is that, you know, I feel like there certainly has been a dance going on between brands and these consumers that's not too different from what I see at my son's 9th grade dance this year, for which, you know, you had one crowd sitting on one side of the room and another crowd sitting on the other side of the room. I would say that's kind of how it's gone to date, and 2011 is just really shaping up for a variety of reasons to be the time to get on the dance floor and to really engage these consumers. So I'm going to walk through some tactics that hopefully will help you do that. I hope you'll ask questions along the way. Guys, let me know if there's any problem hearing me or seeing. So Nancy already introduced me, so I won't get into this too much. You'll see there a little bit some of the clients that we work with as an interactive agency. We are the authors of .boom, which really takes a very different approach that I'll tell you about in a second. But, you know, if anybody has any questions for me, either after this presentation or you know, after today, feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to connect you with a complimentary copy of the book. Also real excited to tell everybody about our new e-brief that started about a month ago called Silver Tsunami, and you can sign up for that at our website, so I encourage you to do that. The goal of this publication from an editorial standpoint has been to kind of stop with all the hype about the boomer consumer so much and really paint a high-definition picture of these consumers, the changes of life that they're going through, and how that change equals opportunity. I think it's important for everybody listening today to understand a little bit our approach, which makes us unique, especially as an interactive agency. We take a developmental approach, which is to say a behavioral approach. So, you know, to us, to Stephen's point that the average boomer woman is 53, we don't take a generational or cohort approach, which would suggest that it's the Woodstock generation, because the average boomer was about 11 or 12 years old when Woodstock happened. Instead, we take a behavioral approach that suggests that there's this spectrum of life for which there is a fall and a winter, and really our job as marketers is to help these consumers process their life based on what those core needs are. And ultimately, the campaigns that we put together as an agency are focused on a single goal, and that is leveraging word of mouth in the form of